information. We're going to start here from a prospect record. We're going to create the opportunity, and then I'll show you the pipeline view that these sales engineers would live in. So I'm on the prospect profile here for Binary Helix. It's a prospect I've been working. Customer profile information, you can see the data we have available, information about this company, contact records if we have them, addresses if we have them. And from here, we can see there's a quote level tab. Within here, you'll see the new opportunities tab. So from here, I can go ahead and add a new opportunity. So you can see from a customer view, when you add opportunity, it's going to pre-populate with that customer name for you already. We're going to go ahead and give this opportunity a name. We'll call it Managed Services. Oops. We can go ahead and pick out any information we have to help us better track this deal or manage it in relation to other deals that we're currently working. So we'll go ahead and call this new service since it's a prospect. I'll go ahead and fill in my source as a client referral. If I have an idea of expected amount, I can enter that here. We'll go ahead and track that. Close date, if we have an idea, we can also populate that here. So I'll put something in here so we can see how that data unifies on the list view. And then partner here is a custom field that I've created, and we'll dive more into how you can set those up in a moment. We'll go ahead and create the opportunity. So a couple things to point out here. At the top, we've got the status chip. So you can see this one is open. Below that, we've got our stage progress indicator. So you can see at a glance exactly where you are within your sales pipeline. Stages flow from qualification all the way through to verbal agreement based on my setup. So as the deal progresses, your sales team can update the stage, and this stepper will update as well to reflect where they are. Below that, you have all of your deal details, hyperlink back to the customer record the deal was created for, who owns it, what type it is, the source, the expected amount, our close date, stage, and status. Middle section here is going to be where all of your custom fields will display as you define those. And then towards the bottom here, we've got an activity tab. So this is meant to be a rolling log of all of the interactions that your sales reps are going to have in relation to this deal. So they can record what they've done and their efforts to close the sale, or maybe even what's going on in the moment. So just a rolling journal. It'll be a date time stamp of the notes that are entered here. So this could be the prospect that had to leave a message, right? Whatever they're doing, these will show up below, date time stamp, and who entered the note. So this is a view of the opportunity detail. Edit is accessible from here. If for some reason the opportunity was created in error, we also have a delete function available from this screen. So let's take a look at our opportunities list. So we're going to go to customers in the nav menu, opportunity list. So let me show you what your sales team will more than likely live in for if they're working opportunities. So right at the top, you can see your pipeline metrics at a glance, and these will update based on the data that you are filtering by within the list below. So you can see a sum of your total opportunity count, your total pipeline value, and your average deal size. Below that, we've got the filters. So if you really want to dive into a particular subset of data, you can filter by status, owner, type, stage. You can even enter in a close date range. We have our traditional search available here, so you can really drill down to find a particular record based on a column header here. And then we've got our standard list view functionality where you can arrange the columns and pick what you want to see or hide for yourself. One of the cool things that we just released this week is our funnel. So this is a visual representation of your sales opportunities by stage. So by default, if you're looking at everything, this will be a total roll up by stage of your opportunity count as well as value. You can click into a stage. It'll filter down your opportunity list to show you those opportunities that match the stage. And the other stages will, blur out a little bit to really hone in on what you're looking at. You can click the same stage to go back to default. You could also just click a different stage. Again, if you want to really drill into that subset of data, you can hop back and forth as needed. You can also reset your filters from the bottom here depending on what you're looking at. So pretty cool widget. Interact with it. It'll help you drill into your data. You know, as a sales rep, if I'm really interested in my stuff, I can, of course, filter by my own sales opportunities. If I'm coming up to month end and I'm really interested in trying to see, you know, is there any revenue that I can close? Can we actually get any sales across the finish line, right? That's where we could drill into our negotiation stage and just see if there's anything we can take across the finish line. So really easy to get to from the sales funnel. It does take up a decent amount of screen area. So we do have the show hide toggle here. So, you know, you can work with it as you need to, or if you really just want to drill down into the list data below, you can do that as well. It doesn't need to remain at the top. So I do want to be clear, everything that I've shown you here today is customizable within system tables. So your stages, your statuses, the types. So we're going to take a trip out to system tables. So admin, system settings, system tables. We've got our new opportunities tab here, and this is where you can define everything to your needs. So if you're trying to track your opportunity by a particular segment or area of your business, you can do that. You can define your sales stages. So customize this to meet how you manage your sales today within your business. You can arrange the sort order to match as well. It's not just alphabetical. Customize your statuses as needed. We do ship with a lot of defaults, but again, you know, customize them to your needs. We know everyone's sales cycle looks a little bit different. You can manage your sources here as well. Custom fields are available for this. So if we go to Admin, Custom Fields Manager, you'll see we've added the Opportunities module here. So this would be where you can define the custom fields for any data points we didn't ship with that are important for your sales process. So you can add field. We support field types such as text, a text area, numbers, dates, drop-downs, multi-select, or checkbox. So these will show up within that middle section on the opportunity detail, as I showed you earlier. So we're going to hop back to Binary Helix, which is the prospect I was working with. So if we go back to that quotes tab and where the opportunities live, you can see within this customer, all of the opportunities that have been created for them will show up here. So you can create as many opportunities as you need to per customer record. If we drill back into our opportunity, the last thing I want to call out is our quotes tab here. So if your deal progresses far along enough where you can look towards presenting a solution, you can build as many quotes as you need to from here, and they will directly link together. So I will open up the floor for questions before I turn it over to Amanda to walk you all through the quoting process. Questions can I answer for you?
I have a quick question.
Hold on.
Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay. The question I had is, we do a lot of quoting, right? Do we have to have it as an opportunity first before we quote? Is that kind of the process here?
Not at all. You can absolutely make a quote on its own. You don't need to start from an opportunity.
That starts from a customer, right? Is where you can initiate a quote. Okay, so the opportunities is more of just like a sales management, pre-sales management tracking platform.
Right. So,
okay,
yep.
great.
All of your efforts going into closing a sale. If you want a bucket where everything is tracked in, that would be where you could create the quote if you get far along enough from the opportunity. But like I said, you do not have to start at the opportunity level. You can make quotes as you need to independently. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, and then the opportunities, one thing that I've changed a lot with our software is tags by department. So we can all view things and create our own views and that sort of thing. Can these opportunities, can I create tag level views for everybody so we're not looking at everybody's opportunities per department?
Gotcha. So one enhancement we have coming down the pipeline, let me get to it. Some of our list views support this today, where you can create basically a set of filters or details, like you can define what columns they see, potentially what filters you want, and save that off as a default view, and then share that out so that, people can absolutely drill down into the view that, is better for them. And then, the sales manager could, hop back and forth between a standard set of views that are saved to manage the day-to-day. Absolutely.
Okay.
That
Perfect.
should be coming probably in the next couple of months. So, yeah.
Sounds good.
So if an opportunity comes in, like say I answer the phone or get an email, can I assign that to can I assign an opportunity, or is that more of like a task?
You can absolutely assign the opportunity out. So I kind of glazed over this. The owner field is meant to show, who should be working the deal, who is a primary point of contact within your company for the deal. You can assign this to any other user in your system today. We do have a feature enhancement on the roadmap to basically allow you to specify a group of users, so to speak, that would default in this dropdown. So you're not navigating through every user within your system. But yeah, you can absolutely change this owner.
Is best practice, if a call comes in and I want to assign it to somebody, is it best practice to do it through opportunities or tasks?
Right now, I would say the best process would be opportunities. Enhancing tasks to support other areas, if you will, I think is on the roadmap. It's just not in the next few months. So I would say probably working the opportunity. We do have a field coming out soon called Next Step. So quick insight into what is the next thing that a person would need to do in an effort to close the sale would be available on the detail view as the list to kind of help you manage your day to day. I would say you could use tasks to, if you want a better view of scheduled appointments for your day, so to speak. But right now there is no relationship between a task and an opportunity. That's
Yeah, I mean, tasks are more related to tickets,
Mhm.
So I don't think the opportunity you would want to send a task that way. So to me, it makes sense kind of the way it is now. But yeah,
And this isn't something that would be incorporated in a calendar or anything like that, right? This is separate from that?
Right. This is separate from that.
Okay.
If we enhance tasks, which I know we were going to, I just don't have an exact timeline for you. I believe the goal would be to enhance tasks to accommodate different record types, more than just the ticket or more than just a standalone task. And at that point, that might be something where, you'd be able to see that opportunity related to the task at the calendar level. But to your point today, probably more likely to be living in that opportunity list and working it that way. Yeah.
All right.
you can just ping somebody up in the right to look at the opportunity or something,
Yep. Notifications, workflows, tying all that together is also on the roadmap. So, yep, a lot of untapped potential here. Definitely very much a first pass to give you some basic sales opportunity functionality for sure.
Any other questions for Lauren?
All right. Thanks so much for your
No
time,
other
everyone.
questions. Thanks.
Okay. We're going to move over to Amanda Hill, who's going to pick up where that leaves off and talk to us about quotes now.
All right. So here, I'm going to stay on the opportunity screen. I will show some other ways to get to the quotes, but continuing Lauren's flow, we're going to pick up with the binary helix opportunity that she started. So within this opportunity screen, down here on the quotes tab, you can see that we don't have any quotes created yet, but I can go ahead and do that by clicking add quote. When I click on that, the customer's already selected for me because I'm on this customer's opportunity. I can choose to import existing contacts. So the contacts that are on the customer record for the customer that's selected up here will be displayed, and I can choose which of those contacts to select for this quote. And then I can add a description. So we're just going to call it sales prop 1 and create that quote. Once that's done, it's going to pop up with a quote screen. And this is where I front load all of the data that's going to be needed for that document that I'm going to send out to the customer for their signature and approval. So looking at this screen up at the very top, I can see some cards that once I get products and services on my quote, I will have more information about what's going on financially with this quote. The proposal is going to be the actual document that is sent out for signature and approval to the customer. I can see the customer's addresses automatically populated here for me. And then the contacts that I selected in that first screen are populated. I can also add additional if I need to. And then the details, any notes that I might need to add to communicate internally regarding this quote, and then attachments as well. So going back up to the top, we'll just start adding some products and services. For our billing clients that are used to the billing request flow, this is going to look very familiar to that. That's what this is based off of, and we'll actually pull from that area of the legacy billing system. But for our MSP and integrator customer or clients, these service lines can actually become an organizational tool. So it's a way that you can set up and define how your proposal will look for your customers. So in that vein, we're going to go ahead and select a type, and we're just going to select products here. If you just need to add products, you can make this very simple. And then provider, this can be in-house, or you can select a specific provider. So we're just going to choose Dell and then select one of the addresses that is displayed. All right, once that is added, then we can add products. And we'll add this one, and we'll pick recurring. And then we can even add packages. So we'll see the packages that are set up. We'll do some monitoring. So with that package, you'll see all of the products that are included in that package. And then on the grid, we'll see which of the products that we've selected are included in that package. Once that's completed, we can see the charges, and then our summary cards at the top have been populated with that information. And then we can continue with our quote. So down at the bottom, like I was saying, you can add more addresses if you need to. You can import the existing or add new locations completely, and same with the contacts. Well, let's go ahead and just set up a new proposal. So that title is automatically populated from the description that we added earlier, and then we'll select a template. We can even add a custom proposal ID if we'd like. And then the contact is automatically populated here for us. If I had others, I could do this drop down and select them as well. And we'll just click create. Okay, so now that proposal has been created. From this action menu, I can go ahead and send it out if everything is good and I'm confident that it's ready to go. If I need to make any changes to the products and services that I've selected up at the top, I can make those changes and then resync that to update my proposal document. And then I can edit that to proof it and make sure it looks exactly like I want it to. So for our MSP clients, when you use those different lines of service, you can actually use those to set up different zones or locations. So for security, for example, you could set up as like the bedroom, and you could have different sections populated automatically for each of those products and services that you've selected. So here it's just like the PandaDoc quotes that you're used to. So you can assign the signature. And if that needs to be reassigned, we can go over here. Oh, and I messed something up. Let me go back. So okay, We're going to try this again. Okay, so I'm going to add this, and I forgot to show y'all the coolest bit. So on this, you can select her as the sender if you'd like. We're going to create that again. Okay. So the point was, if you have multiple recipients, and I don't know why she's not coming over. She should be showing up in this recipient list. But if you have multiple recipients, then you can set up a signing order here based on that recipient list that you've defined. Once you have that recipient list defined, then you can set up the signatures, and that will flow just like it did in PandaDoc. Once you have everything ready to go, then you can send this out and go through that quote process just like you normally would with the old quote process. All right, so you can access quotes from the opportunity. So we just talked about that. You can also access quotes from this quote list. So there's a whole quote list dedicated just to the quotes. You can view it from opportunities, from the quote list if you don't use the opportunities yet, if you're defining your processes around that. But this will allow you to see all of the quotes for all customers, as well as their status and who they're assigned to. Now, if we go over to our customers, and let's go back over to binary. And on the quotes tab, so you'll see the opportunity that Lauren created earlier. And now you'll see the quote that I created just now. So these are linked. So if you go through the opportunity, you will see the same quote on that opportunity. And you can also create a new separate quote if they are now a customer and they need some more installation or something, and you need to quote a different set of services, then you can add a new quote separate from that opportunity. And then we also have the proposals. So the proposals tab, this is the actual document, the document that was sent for approval and signature. And for those of you that have been using the PSA for a little bit, this will display all of your old quotes that have been created previously to this new flow. So all of those will be displayed here. All right, so you'll still be able to access the old proposals, continue those, finish those out. But when this gets turned on, you'll be able to create new quotes through the new flow so that you can front load that data and have that new functionality. All right, are there any questions?
Yeah, as it relates to the quotes themselves, so we have a lot of our products and everything is preloaded in from our distribution, and the modifier is assigned to it, you know, a 30% markup or whatever. We need to be able to hide lines, and we also need to be able to change the modifiers, you know, at a moment's notice, really. Can you show us within the quote itself how to hide lines and how to change product prices and that sort of thing?
Sure. So within here, and you can edit this, and you can add this, and let's say this needs to be like, let's say bedroom. Okay, so you can name this whatever you'd like there. I don't know why this is acting weird. Sorry about that. Okay, but on this grid, if you click edit, so you can change this quantity.
Okay.
And then change the rate here. So this rate is the price. that you're going to be charging to your customers.
Like
So you can
what?
change this
Percent.
price if you need to.
Use a calculator.
Yeah, because here's the thing. So we have our products brought in on the
Mhm.
first version of this, and we assigned like a 20 or a 30% markup. So the
Mhm.
rates when we bring them in as a product are already shown as a marked up rate. Are we able to control that?
We'll show them both ways. So it's the list price and then.
Yeah, I guess can we add, a product line or a custom?
I just wish there was a percent calculator on the, our cost versus what we're selling it to the customer for.
Because right now, we don't know what that rate is. Is that rate the marked up
Right.
rate? Is that our price? I'm assuming it's the marked up rate, but based on what?
Mhm.
And then where is that information that we can manipulate for a product or a service,
Right. Yeah. So that is planned functionality. It is not in here today, but adding that calculator that you referenced, and then also the visibility of profitability and seeing what's going on behind these numbers, that's coming. So that is a planned enhancements for sure.
So for now, all the products that we have entered in with a modifier of, let's say, 20%,
Mhm.
those, when we add them, it'll show that rate there, right?
Correct. Yeah, this
Okay.
is pulling from the product catalog rate.
So we can essentially go into that product catalog, right, and adjust pricing there, and then it'll be reflected here if that's what we need to do. Obviously, that's a little more time consuming than it would be just to change the rate.
Right.
But okay. And then, yeah, hiding a line. Can you show how to do that? So we still want to charge for it. We still want it to be shown. We don't necessarily want it itemized, but we want to hide it and hide that dollar amount.
Yeah, and then hide quantity as well.
Right.
Because
We do hide quantities sometimes. We do hide miscellaneous, or we mark up a project 5% for a salesperson. So a lot of times right now within QuoteWorks, we show that as a line.
Mhm.
And it automatically calculates it, or we calculate it ourselves and just add the dollar amount. But we hide those
Gotcha.
lines. Yeah.
Okay, so that's today that is handled through packages. So you saw me add the package to that quote earlier, but if you come in here and let's just edit or look at one of these existing packages. But on these packages, you'll have the package products at the bottom. And down here in the display, this is where you can control what's displayed.
Right.
So if
Okay,
it's
so yeah, it's a bundle, but is there any way to just hide a product that we have entered in on that quote rather than this bundle? There's no way to hide a line at all?
like it
There's
used to be, like on the old version of the Panda Docs, there was like the eyeball that was crossed out,
Mhm.
Yeah, we had asked them because you couldn't do it initially, and then we had asked them, and then they kind of wrote the code for it or whatever, and it did become available where we could hide just a line. It doesn't show up on your proposal view or your print preview, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if that got translated to this new process here where we could hide a line.
Yeah,
I get the
so it's
bundles,
still
that's
using
great.
PandaDoc. Yeah, it's still using PandaDoc, so you still have that functionality within the PandaDoc system.
Okay,
So within PandaDocs, not here.
so I don't know what the difference is.
Well, Panda Docs is the third party.
That's the actual quote view.
Right. Yeah, so if we
Hide
go,
the proposal view,
Yeah.
okay,
so if we go in here to the quote, so this is the new quote view. And if I go down here to the proposal and I open this up, in this screen that pops up here,
this is Panda Docs you're calling
Yes.
it? Okay. So this opens up a
Yeah.
third party so people can sign and whatever.
yeah, this is just iframed in. Yeah. So that functionality to control what is displayed here
Yeah.
is controlled. Yeah. So if you click on this and edit, then you have that functionality to hide those line items that you were describing.
That's exactly what we're looking at.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
perfect. That's
You
what we
still
need to
have it.
know. All right, great.
So there's also you can mark up the whole thing a percent as well.
Okay, so this is where we would, so when we manipulate something here, does it automatically populate on the quote then? Because this is a
Yes.
proposal based from the quote, so whatever's changed here is gonna change there as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
I would hate for that, till you make a change here and then on the.
she's never got changed. Yeah, I don't know about that.
You don't know
I've
about
got a
that?
I have a question. If we have different terms and conditions for, different scopes like fire alarm or security, how would we handle those, or where would those be changed?
So for that, you could handle that a couple of different ways. So you could have different proposal templates. So you could have a fire template or alarm template, however you needed to handle that. So you could have those different, the verbiage settings on those different templates so that all you have to do is select those different templates for
Okay.
the specific scenarios.
Now, if we have a scenario where, for example, like we do a fire alarm takeover, it's got certain clarifications that we want on that proposal. They're not terms and conditions, but they're, 10 or 20 items that, hey, we're doing this, we're not doing that.
Mhm.
Where would those need to be listed in the product section, or is there another place we could put those to have them as like a part of a template, but it wouldn't necessarily be a template because we'd have like 10 or 20 different clarifications at that point.
Now, are those clarifications, are they actual like product options or?
Right now, the way we're doing it is we have certain quote templates, and we'll, like, for a fire alarm, we'll have certain clarifications. But I guess we'd like to do it similarly, but instead of having them as products, maybe have a section that lists clarifications for a certain scope.
Mhm.
The clarifications are
Mhm.
just additional block text that's kind of pre-canned, like you have specific set clarifications that you would want to drop in.
Correct. Like if we're doing
Oh,
a fire
gotcha.
alarm takeover, these are the 10 or 20 items that we want to kind of include in our proposal. But it's not terms and conditions. It's kind of
Mhm. Like
just
a,
trying to
Okay,
figure out
I
what would be
see,
the best
I
way to
see.
handle those.
like an
Yeah.
addendum in addition to.
I know some softwares call them assumptions or um clarifications. Right now that we're just putting them in the proposal as like products, clauses, we call them, but it would be nice to separate them out as a separate section.
Yeah. Yeah, we might need to. I don't.
And I know, I mean, you could probably create different templates, but then I don't want to have 20 or 30
Yeah.
templates. It's kind of the terms and conditions kind of would be the overriding template, like residential security, template. And then,
Yeah.
but within residential security, you might have 10 or 20 different scopes, I don't know, with different clarifications that we want to set up. Maybe
Yeah.
not that many, but
Yeah. Let me play with that, and I'll get back to you on that, Roman.
okay.
And we'll see what we can come up with for you on that. Yeah, because right now you have options within the PandaDoc where they can select options and you can turn them on and off. But I'm not sure that would be the best fit. So I'll play with that and I'll get
Okay.
back to you on that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Of course.
What other questions do we have for Amanda?
I'd like to see what happens after the quote is complete and it comes through. Does it create an order? What's the steps after that?
So we do not have orders in PSA. That's being discussed. But when this is completed, it will create the ticket, and then it will also create the contract. And eventually, so I've shown you all the agreements that what we're going to be moving to. So it will create the ticket and then the contract or / agreement once we get that rolled out. So just like the existing quote functionality does.
So right now, this is just like a virtual piece of paper that I'm going to have to transpose into actual orders and write myself.
Right, yeah. So there's no orders. Any other questions? All right.
All right. We thank y'all so much for joining. Feel free to put in tickets if you think of other questions you want to ask. Put in some tickets in the UI or ask in the community. We love to see stuff posted in community, so we try and stay on top of that. But we appreciate all the feedback and we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining. Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.